is going to be a big step for us, and the potential to have the market pay attention, because I continue to try and tell people, we are looking for multi-billion-dollar discoveries. I mean, if we're talking about 100 million pound plus discovery, like that is absolutely huge for a company of our size. But we feel like we have that capability and just continue to increase that probability, most important.
Hello and welcome back to The Next Big Rush. I have here with me Drew Zimmerman of Stallion Uranium. This is a company that I've partnered up with, and I am super excited to bring him on to give you an update on, what they've done in their Maiden drill program. I am thoroughly impressed by it, but I'm obviously biased. And then just to give you some context of next steps and a little bit of a hidden asset that this company possesses that most people have not realized yet. But I think with what is going on currently in world markets, you might start to hear about it. Fingers crossed. So, Drew, welcome.
Thanks, Fabi. And great to be back on with you, and always a pleasure.
Cool. So I think we're going to start off with your Athabasca strategy and your assets. We have, talked a little bit about the strategy, the team, how you guys, have positioned yourselves to make a discovery. And I wanted you to just basically go over for us what it is that you guys found. I know we've been over this, previously in a certain way, but I wanted you to touch upon, if you will, just what you have discovered means compared to what a company can be expected to discover in their Maiden drill program. I think that is what's lacking in an understanding. I hear a lot of people saying that the Athabasca Basin is hot at certain times and there's this discovery and that discovery. But I don't think most people realize that most of the discoveries that we see, they take 3, 4, 5 more drill programs. And in some cases, that's, this being generous. And so if you will, please just tell us the story of what you guys did in your Maiden drill program so that we can understand what you're onto here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a key piece to focus in on, and a great question, because a lot of people look at, even different discoveries in the Athabasca Basin can happen different ways. So our land package and the types of deposits we're going after are all three, unconformity, perched uranium, so up in the sandstone as well as basement. But for us, as an example, in the southwest, like you have the Triple R deposit, which is and Arrow, which are in the basement rock, but again, very near surface compared to the amount of sandstone that is above them. So for us, we're looking at geophysical work that really guides us towards the targets that we can have. That's a deposit that is under several hundred meters of sandstone, similar to McArthur River and Cigar Lake and the eastern side of the basin. So we're following leads that we get from geophysical targets, and while those can become pretty precise with the latest technologies and surveys that we're able to do these days, you are just going off of indications of where these targets are. Now we're fortunate that we started with such a big land package that we're, really honing in on the best targets that we have that are, checking all the boxes that you want to see for potential mineralization. And I think that really elevates our probability of success, and is why we were able to be successful in our Maiden drill program. So as you mentioned, a Maiden drill program in the basin, quite often, won't even hit the structure that you're looking for. And when I say structure, that's these bigger, usually, clay-filled structures that are filled with graphite. And that's actually what we're targeting with our electromagnetic surveys from the surface. So for us to be able to, one, encounter, the unconformity, you're going to encounter just at what depth. But to sort of have some radioactivity even at that contact point, and then on our third and final drill hole, getting lucky a little bit, as every junior explorer needs to do, but again, a lot of work to get lucky. Really intersecting that big graphitic structure that we've been targeting in all three holes, that now gives us sort of a huge leap forward in information that we're able to get, because we're now not targeting geophysical anomalies that are best guess scenarios. We know exactly where the structure is because of the drill core that you're pulling out of that hole, and how it's dipping, what angle it's at, where it goes to meet the unconformity. So for us to be able to have that intersection and to be able to find the plumbing, so to speak, of these uranium deposits was absolutely huge, as far as taking a step forward and validating that target. And we're also fortunate that we are 13 kilometers to the east of Shea Creek, which is 100 million pounds in the ground, with just a huge amount of public data that we're able to look at and analog and say, we know what their structure looked like. It's about the same size, if not a little bit smaller than this structure at depth. We're seeing the same sort of alteration that they were seeing on theirs around what is their deposit. So again, all the things that we want to be seeing from that drill program are, absolutely huge for us, and really confirming that we are in an area that has significant potential. And most importantly, we know where we want to go next. We know we want to target this structure at the unconformity, and then again, be able to sort of chase that along strike if necessary. But again, just a huge amount of information, because again, when you look at the other sniffs that some companies have gotten over time, in the last several decades of exploration in the basin, sometimes it just starts with something you're seeing in the alteration in the sandstone, let alone a structure or anything like that. And again, those are sniffs. Those are the cookie crumbs that sort of lead you towards a discovery. But for us to be able to get onto the structure in hole 3, and a structure with above background uranium in it, and a lot of the other signals that you're wanting to see to show that there was at one point uranium bearing fluids running through that system, was absolutely great. And again, a testament to the technical team that we have and their knowledge of, the Athabasca Basin, and especially the Southwest Athabasca Basin. And again, that just continues to help us and help them, take those little pieces and say, we've seen this is what we've seen before, this is what we're looking for, and this is where we want to go. So, I think it's amazing to be able to have done that in 3 holes. And again, it's a testament to the team, but it's also when you look at the market and they say, well, you didn't have a discovery. And again, shifting the expectations to say, this was, above what we could have hoped for in a maiden drill program. Let us go back out there and see what another 3 or 4 holes can do, is going to be a big step for us, and the potential to have the market pay attention, because I continue to, try and tell people, we are looking for, multi-billion-dollar discoveries. I mean, if we're talking about 100 million pound plus discovery, like that is absolutely huge for a company, and a company of our size, but we feel like we have that capability, and just continue to increase that probability, most importantly.
Absolutely. And so when are you guys going up there next, and what is the plan? Is there a plan currently in place? Are you getting ready for it, or is that, for the winter time? Let me know.
Yeah. No, we've been going through the planning process now. We definitely want to get back there and follow up with a 3 and maybe even a 4-hole program. Anytime you take on a maiden program, you learn a lot, not just what comes out of the drill hole, but the area that we're working in, the trail that we had to build to get out to the drill site, all that kind of stuff. So we think we can optimize the way that we're doing things, and make things a little bit more cost efficient as we go. And that's what we're looking at right now, is how do we best set ourselves up for success and again, cost efficient success, especially, in junior markets that have stayed a little bit challenging on the capital front. But again, having closed to financing, I think it shows that the work that we're doing is very good work and leading us on the path towards a discovery. So we are looking at the fall. It's probably looking more likely, again, given that we're going to set up a temporary camp, that we're going to wait until after the holidays. The last thing you want to do is be paying thousands of dollars a day for a temporary work camp that is sitting idle over the Christmas and New Year holidays. And again, everything's just that much easier when it's fully frozen over in the Athabasca Basin. And giving some of the shifting weather. I mean, last year we didn't really have snow in northern Saskatchewan until January. So again, wanting to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up to go out there and just deal with mud if we're talking about the late fall. So looking at probably a January program, but again, January will be around the corner before we know it. That's for sure.
That's very true. And there is also something else in your asset base that I think most people forget. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because antimony seems to be pretty hot right now. Can you please, tell us the story of what's happening there and what asset you guys have that might be able to catch some interest because of the antimony story?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you tell antimony, most people are going to scratch their head and not know what it is. And, it is a critical mineral in the United States and one that is important in the chip industry, but most, I think, especially in the munitions industry. So for Department of Defense in the United States. And, it's a critical mineral that I would say, 10 days or so ago just became hyper critical because China, which mines about half the world's antimony and produces a lot more of it, is now saying that by the middle of October or September, sorry, they're going to be cutting off their supply to the United States. So it's one thing to have a critical mineral that is hard to come by, and it's another to sort of have something that you can't get. And when it's part of critical supply chains, with which it is, those can grind to a halt if you can't get that sourced material. So our Horse Heaven asset down in Idaho, central Idaho, is right next to Perpetua Resources. They're looking to bring online their Stibnite Gold project. It's a historical project that was mining years ago and actually mined about 90% of the US's tungsten supply during the war effort, but has a significant amount of gold and antimony, and they can produce about 35% of the US's antimony needs over the first 6 years of that project. And our project right next door also had historical tungsten and antimony production on it. So again, we have a secondary target on that project called the Antimony Ridge. It's a high-grade antimony vein that back when it was mined in the 50s was done so with a bulldozer going through a high-grade antimony vein, and that's just how simple and apparent it is. It was right on surface. So for us, it's another key element to that project. We've been talking about the Horse Heaven project as having a lot of catalysts, and we've had to be patient with it. It's been 3.5 years since we brought it into Stallion, and now in the last 6 months we've seen Perpetua just take huge leaps and bounds forward. Huge, Department of Defense grants, over almost 60 million US for their antimony. Also a 1.8 billion-dollar letter of interest financing from the U.S. Export-Import Bank. So they're just waiting on their draft record of decision and final environmental impact study to be able to move that project forward. And that's going to be a huge value catalyst for us right next door and for that area. And again, we're talking now about a project that, you can talk about the merits of, does it need to go forward? Does it not? That's sort of been wiped away by what's just happened with this antimony news. It needs to move forward. It's a national security issue, and I think that's what we're going to see. And yes, it will still progress. It's done a huge amount of work to make sure that it's not only running environmentally friendly, but cleaning up what has been a historical mining site that's just been left in disrepair, and it will be a much better area at the end of it. So it is a win all the way across, and a win that is necessary. And for us, having the project right next door with historical antimony production, I think also provides that project with a ton of prospectivity. And for Stallion, I have been saying, and nothing ever happens in mining as fast as you want to, but we have been very focused on the uranium side, and we continue to be very focused on uranium assets. And we are still continuing to look at the best ways to monetize the Horse Heaven asset. And, now we just think that value just continues to go. So it's been a good project to be patient with because of those catalysts that we've really started to see this year. And we will, bring some value to our shareholders out of it. And I think, that value just continues to increase as we are more patient in getting this done. So again, that's a good thing for us. And it's a project that we own 100% of. So really, looking forward to be able to bring some value to our shareholders, and again, just help continue our main mission now of finding the next significant uranium deposit in the Southwest Athabasca Basin.
That's awesome. And I was just checking here how Perpetua, because I haven't checked this. This was a stock that I got into when they were called something completely different several years ago. Made a little bit of money with it, and just haven't been following it. And you're completely right. The stock did react very, very well to both the recent news and all these grants, and finally the red tape that's been dissolving. In their case with their project down there in Idaho. And I'm looking at it, and it's sitting here at least $700 million dollars Canadian worth of market cap. So hey, if you're a Perpetua Resources investor and or maybe you're not, and you're looking at this, obviously this is not financial advice and I'm very biased, and you're looking at this, you think, this has run up already. Look at the region, look at what else is there, and obviously take a look at Stallion, because positioning ourselves as a uranium company means that a lot of people maybe don't know about, the gold antimony asset. And we're sitting at nothing close to $700 million market cap. In fact, I think we're looking at what, 10 to 13 million right now? Yeah.
Yeah, about a 10 million market cap Canadian right now.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna leave that there. Just a thought. If you've ever looked for value and you want the bargains, you want stuff that hasn't run yet but has things going for it that go beyond what you can control. I mean, you can control certain things, you can control timing, pricing, etc. And you cannot control the government wanting what you have on your land. And if they want it, people will come to it. People will actually make that asset more valuable. Usually, that's what happens. That's just a theory. So I'm gonna leave that out there. Drew, thank you so much for coming on and updating us with Stallion and news. I am definitely a shareholder and will continue to do so. I believe in the project. I believe in the team. By all means, if you're watching this for the first time, go and check out the team. I'm not going to, belabor the point here, but you're going to quickly realize that these guys have done it before. And this is why they have been able to get so much done in so little time compared to, what's expected of a mining company. Obviously, it's never quick enough for some investors, but, in this market, the work that they have done is absolutely stellar. So I want to congratulate you, Drew, for the work that's been done so far, and best of luck to all of us in this upcoming drilling season. Anything else that you want to leave us with? How can we find out more about Stallion?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me back on. Great to be able to give an update to you and your listeners. For the website, stallionuranium.com, obviously our latest news there. Please sign up for news. It goes right to your inbox. But I'm Also very biased, but I have to agree. I mean, we've got, so many levers to several different commodities right now. Gold at all-time highs, staying well above $2,500 an ounce. Antimony prices, moving much, much higher on obviously the restriction globally that we're seeing there. And, while we've had a little bit of consolidation in the uranium space, we think that market, with the amount of fundamental news that has just continued to build to the positive side across the world, across, all governments almost, is setting up to be, a big move into the fall. And again, we have, the work that we're doing ourselves that will continue to drive value. And then again, just the broad market and sectors that we're in, I think is going to be a very, very exciting time. And, while the junior space has been a little quiet through the last days of summer here, it's not a big market. That's what I always try and remind people. Once we see a little bit of capital start to move into this market, things can happen very, very quickly, and they can move very, very quickly. So that's what we're looking forward to. A lot of good sector news, but also a lot of good work that we're doing ourselves. So always appreciate the opportunity to be able to share it, and couldn't be more excited about the months that we have ahead of us.
Awesome. So that is stud. If you're looking for the ticker symbol, Stallion Uranium Corp. Always love, the way that people pick out their tickers. There's a joke in everything. Why not? Thank you very much, Drew, and I'll catch you soon. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Fabi. Cheers.